Hi, we're Team Kandu, and this is our final presentation for our project.
My name is Octavio Anino. I'm a development team member.
My name is Brady, and I'm the Scrum Master.
And my name is Jared. I'm the product manager.
So for our demonstration, we're going to go through some of these things. We're going to take a look at our Kanban board that we've made, our columns, our swim lanes, adding a new task, moving the task around, and then viewing the task information. We're also going to show the group section and the resources section. So we'll start that now. Here is our website, Kandu. And you can see already that we have one task in our backlog for Hello World. We can click these three dots to see it's a low priority task. You get a nice description and then any comments that might be with it. Um, and then if we were to add a new task, we could make a new task, give it any description we want. Wow, I can type. And we'll make this one high priority and create a new task. And we should be able to see here that the new task will load. And you can see this one's high priority, same kind of thing. And we can go ahead and take this task and say it's in progress. So this is a task that we're working on, and when we're finished with it, we can move it to done. And for any reason, if we needed to get rid of the task, we could come here and click delete, and the task will delete itself. Here on the left panel, you can see our members section for the people in your group. You can see each person's name followed by their email. And eventually, once if we were to have our authentication, they would just show up with each person's account for our tool. And then here at the bottom, you can see our resources. And this is where people can go ahead and label and have the URL to whatever resources they might be using in their group projects. And you can go ahead and click add resource and type in your name and URL and click add, and it'll populate over here. And if you need to get rid of them, you can nice click the X. But just for our case, we're gonna leave them there. And yeah, that's our functionality.
All right, yeah. So for technical debt, we do have we've got a few different pieces that are hard coded right now as we were trying to make progress and make our deadlines. Unfortunately, what that does mean is as in a professional environment, as changes need to occur, those changes can't be done by the consumer or the customer. You have to go in and make those changes manually, which falls right up the alley of tech debt. Other tech debt we have, user verification. So we're basically, for right now, we're stuck with one user, no login, just because we were planning on that being in a later phase of development. The email API is something we still want to implement to have email notifications. So when someone commented or created a new task and assigned it to you, it would give an email. And of course, the comments API for we've displayed comments, but we haven't had or we haven't gotten to the comments API on the backend side of things. So as far as stretch goals, we would really like to see multiple Kanban boards and have user roles. So the board owner, editor, viewer, and then of course assignee and assigner, reporter, however you want to consider it. We'd also like to see expanded task features like checklists, task resources specifically. So instead of having those to be global, we can link them to an individual task and make it a little more, specific for whatever you're working on. And then task due dates, which we would then be able to send out emails and reminders to let you know that a task is getting close to or past due. We would also like to see swim lanes be a little more dynamic. Right now, as you can see, we had the in progress, done, and to do. We'd like to see that become dynamic where you can add and remove swim lanes, which would then tie back to your organization or your personal account. So, our team can have three swim lanes, but your team could have four or five, just depending on the workflow and how you guys decide to use it. And of course authentication itself, both at the user and organizational level. So being able to log into your personal account with your own settings, maybe a theme, a different background, and tie it back to an overall organization or team, that will hold your different swim lanes and tasks and comments and stuff like that, and just kind of have that nice separation of accounts per organization.
Right. So as far as issues are concerned, we first want to address a little bit what were human resources issues. We were glad with the team that we had. First, at the beginning of the project, we ran into some problems as we ended up being 3 team members working on it. But in the end, we were able to work around that. In the end, we ended up having some scheduling issues as the semester progressed. We also found out that we ended up being busier than we expected, but we made things do, and as we went, we learned, and we're sure that in the future, if it comes to any sort of similar problem, we'll be able to address it more efficiently. Another problem was coming up with the resources that we have used for the project. We have covered a lot of ground. We've tried our best to reference everything, every sort of documentation that we have used. But there were a lot of things we learned, a lot of things we used, and again, we made our best effort, and we're sure we can do better next time. This is all a learning progress for us too. And finally, perhaps the biggest technical that we're going to be trying to focus, we have been trying to do, it just turned out to be more complicated than we thought, is adding authentication to the application. And we already have some ideas, but that will have to be covered in the next sprint. And talking about the next sprint, we have the next steps that we're going to follow. As I said before, in terms of covering the technical depth, maybe also a little bit the stretch goals, be adding user authentication that goes along with perhaps having some new features like multiple Kanban boards and maybe user roles. And eventually for testing, we would like to invite some users to perform black box texting. The reasoning being that we've become so accustomed or used to our application that we might miss things that perhaps an inexperienced user with our application may notice. And finally, when it comes to strict requirements, we want to revisit our user stories, make sure that we've achieved the satisfaction criteria for all of them, maybe prune them, maybe make some more user stories, but really set up everything so that we can continue to expand and improve our application. Right? I think we enjoyed this process. It was, as I've said before, it involved a lot of incorporation of technical knowledge, but we are happy with what we have achieved given our constraints.
Thank you.